Flamingos can survive just about anywhere there's the right food sources, the right environment for their flamboyance to thrive.
Your work is worship, you are unique. His design is your advantage. Leverage all that he's granted. Be who you are, let your colors show. Flamingos let the whole world know there's joy through and through. When you let God work through you.
As we were building our business, the question came up, why Campeche? Why are you still living in Mexico in this little old historic town by the sea? And we really started asking ourselves, Tap and I, if we could do our business from anywhere, where would we want to do it? And we always came back to right where we were, in Campeche by the sea. Campeche is a historic town. It's one of the first areas that was settled by the explorers in the 1500s. We have one of the first churches on the continent in our city. And there's a lot of Mayan ruins, a lot of haciendas, a lot of natural, cenotes and jungle to explore. And it's a very calm area of Mexico. It's off the beaten path. There's no big industry in our city. It's the government center of our city, and it's by the sea. And one night, Tap and I were walking on the boardwalk by the water at sunset, and we happened to look over, and it was almost like time stood still for me. Because as a child, I grew up in the mountains of Western North Carolina. We were far from the ocean. I don't even know if I saw the ocean until I was late high school or college. Might have had one trip as a child, but every time I was unsettled inside, I would begin to draw a picture. And that picture was always of a calm sea with a sailboat and the sun setting. And so as Tap and I were walking along the boardwalk that night, we looked over, and it was as if God had brought that picture that I'd drawn 100 times to life right in front of us. It was like God saying, "You're exactly where I prepared you to be." When we realized we wanted to stay in Campeche, we began to look around for a house that we could own. We love history, we love old houses, and we kept driving by this one. We actually started the negotiations to purchase it, and then got cold feet. Things didn't feel right. We backed off and said, well, if that's the house for us, it'll still be for us later when the circumstances are different. And for the next 2 years, Tap and I dreamed about that house. We dreamed about how we would restore it. We dreamed about what we would do with the backyard. We dreamed about hosting families there. We dreamed about hosting retreats and holding services and classes and all the things that God could do in that house. And then one day we were driving down that street again by accident and realized that it was up for sale again from a different vendor. And we made the call, did the walkthrough, and the dollar was more in our favor by that time. This was a different company who did things differently, and everything just fell into place for us to own this house. And the house is over 250 years old. The walls are made of 2-foot thick stone. It's survived through every hurricane of the past 2.5 centuries and still looks amazing. And we are just so privileged to own that piece of history in the heart of the land that has become home to 2 of our children that were born there, and allowed us to have much more scope for ministry, because now that we've spent 7 years restoring the house, we do have an Airbnb space, which not only allows for hospitality, but also extra income. We are able to host family and friends. We are able to host gatherings and classes and use it as a place of ministry. And the Lord has just brought that dream to life, just like it was in the picture we had in our heads. Every opportunity that comes your way is an opportunity for you to change your perspective. And when I looked at that house, I could see the visions in my head of what God could make it. When other people looked at that house, they just saw an old stone barn. So it's all about perspective and being willing to see the possibilities. And I think that's the case no matter what it is that you're thinking about in business. Investing in a coach could be a risk, or it could be a tremendous opportunity. And sometimes we don't know until we take the step. But we won't know if we don't take the step. I'm thinking of a couple of clients of ours who have had similar dreams of owning property, turning it into retreat spaces, using it for ministry and for business. And one of them actually came down and stayed with us at La Casa Rosal, our apartment and Airbnb. And her dream was to start a retreat center in Nicaragua to teach the Christian women there how to build business and provide for their families. And it's been so fun to see her take step of faith after step of faith as the Lord has brought that dream alive for her. And another one of my clients also happened to come down for some one-on-one time, and we mapped out a program for her business that eventually became a turning point for her and her husband. He was able to retire and come home and pursue his painting business so that they could make income together and stay at home together and pursue their dreams. And I just love how when you have the courage to do what God has created you to do, when you have the courage to follow Him, to nurture your dreams, it doesn't matter where you go and what you do, as long as you're following that God-given urge, that God-given gifting to do what He's created you to do. We wanted our home to be used as a testimony to God's goodness. You know, when we moved to Campeche, Mexico, we came with 4 children and 15 suitcases to our name. All of everything we owned, the house, the furniture, the silverware, the dishes we bought in honor of my grandmother, the Airbnb space that is now providing extra, all of that has been a gift from God as we took one step after another in following His lead and doing things that other people said were crazy and it didn't make sense. And yet we knew God was pushing us to do them. It's been so interesting to see how our story has inspired other people to take those leaps of faith and to be able to step out and say, you know, it sounds crazy. I've got a lot of naysayers. I don't know how this is going to look on the other end. And yet I'm so convinced this is a step God wants me to take. And to see them take it and to see how God blesses as He directs.